He thought his wealth made him powerful. He thought no one would ever know. When a greedy son pushed his paralyzed mother toward a deadly cliff, it seemed her fate was sealed. But in his ruthless plan, he overlooked the one witness he could never silence, her loyal dog. The mansion sat high on the hill, its marble walls gleaming in the sunlight, a symbol of wealth that few could ever dream of. Inside, however, the air was heavy, not with luxury, but with silence. In a grand chair by the window sat an elderly woman, her body frail, her legs paralyzed. Though her movements were limited, her spirit remained unbroken. Beside her, always faithful, was her German shepherd. His watchful eyes never strayed far, his presence a reminder that she was never truly alone. But in the same house lived her son, a man dressed in fine suits, his smile hiding a heart consumed by greed. To the outside world, he was the image of success. Yet behind closed doors, his eyes darkened whenever he looked at his mother. To him, she wasn't family anymore. She was an obstacle, and soon, he planned to remove it. The old woman's days were slow, marked by the steady ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall. She no longer walked the sprawling gardens she once adored, nor wandered the grand corridors of her estate. Instead, she spent her hours in the sunroom, gazing at the world through tall glass windows. Her son visited occasionally, his polished shoes clicking on the marble floors as he leaned down to kiss her forehead. She smiled every time, her wrinkled hands reaching out to squeeze his fingers. "You're all I have left," she would whisper. She meant it. In her eyes, he was still the boy she had raised, the one she believed would protect her as age stole her strength. But when he left the room, her loyal German shepherd would curl against her wheelchair, resting his head on her lap. The dog's amber eyes told a different story. He saw the coldness in the son's stare, the impatience in his tone, the way his smile never reached his eyes. Still, the mother trusted blindly. She believed her son would never betray her. What she didn't know was that he was already planning the moment her trust would be broken forever. Night. When the mansion grew silent, and the only sound was the faint hum of the wind outside, the son sat alone in his study. Documents lay scattered across the desk, bank accounts, inheritance papers, and deeds that all bore his mother's name. His jaw tightened as he stared at them, rage simmering just beneath the surface. He had grown tired of waiting. Every passing day with his mother alive meant another day his fortune was locked away from him. And patience was a luxury he no longer possessed. The cliff outside the estate was secluded, a place no one visited. He had scouted it before, watching the waves crash against jagged rocks far below. One push, one cruel act, and it would all be over. No one would question him. No one would ever know. At least, that's what he thought. The morning sun broke through the mist, casting a golden glow over the estate. The son's voice was unusually soft as he entered his mother's room. "Come, mother," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "The weather is beautiful today. Let me take you for some fresh air." Her frail face brightened. "Oh, how lovely," she whispered, her hands clasping together. She had not been outside for weeks. He wheeled her chair through the grand halls, each push of the wheels echoing with finality. Behind them padded the German shepherd, ears pricked, his steps cautious. The dog's instincts screamed unease. Instead of the garden, the sun turned down the winding path that led to the cliffs. The sea roared below, waves colliding against sharp stone. The old woman's smile faltered. "This isn't the garden," she said softly. "We'll have a better view here," he replied coldly. Pushing her closer to the edge, the shepherd growled low, his hackles rising. As if he understood the darkness in the man's intent, the mother's hands gripped the armrests, her breath quickening. She had no idea that the walk she longed for was about to become her son's ultimate betrayal. The wind howled fiercely along the cliffside, tugging at the old woman's scarf as she clutched the arms of her wheelchair. She shivered, unsettled by the emptiness around her. "It's too close, son," she whispered. "Let's go back." But the son's hands tightened on the handles, his jaw rigid. His smile faded, replaced by a grim shadow of greed. "It ends here, mother," he muttered under his breath. Her eyes widened. What are you saying?" With a sudden thrust, he shoved the chair forward. The wheels screeched against the gravel as the chair jolted toward the jagged edge. The ocean roared below, a monstrous void waiting to swallow her whole. Her scream tore through the air. a cry of fear and heartbreak that echoed across the cliffs. But in that instant, another sound pierced the chaos, a furious bark. The German shepherd lunged, teeth bared, muscles straining. His paws skidded across the dirt as he leapt toward the chair, his body fueled by loyalty and desperation. The son stumbled back, startled, as the dog clamped onto the armrest with unyielding force. The fight for her life had begun, not between mother and son, but between greed and loyalty. The wheelchair teetered dangerously, one wheel already slipping over the crumbling edge. The old woman's cries mixed with the thunder of the waves, her hands trembling as she clung to the armrests. The shepherd refused to let go. His jaws clenched tightly on the chair's frame, muscles quivering as he dug his claws into the rocky ground. Every ounce of his strength went into pulling her back, inch by inch, away from the abyss. The son cursed, shoving at the dog with frantic kicks. But the shepherd snarled, his eyes blazing with fury. For every push the son gave, the dog pulled harder, his loyalty outweighing the man's cruelty. Finally, with one desperate heave, the shepherd yanked the chair fully onto solid ground. The woman gasped, clutching her chest, tears streaming down her face. But the dog wasn't finished. He turned on the son with a roar, lunging at him with teeth bared. The man stumbled backward, falling into the dirt, his fine clothes torn by claws and fangs. For the first time, the son's arrogance crumbled. He wasn't the master here. He was prey, and the loyal guardian he had underestimated had turned into his fiercest judge. The shepherd stood over the fallen man, his teeth inches from the son's throat. The once polished heir was now sprawled in the dirt, his fine suit torn, his face pale with terror. He raised his hands, stammering, "Call him off. He'll kill me." But the old woman's voice, trembling yet steady, broke through the chaos. "No, he's protecting me. He sees you for what you truly are." Her tears shimmered in the sunlight as she looked at her son. "My own flesh and blood, trying to end my life for money." The words echoed across the cliffs. Unbeknownst to the son, a group of hikers had heard the screams and rushed toward the commotion. They froze at the scene. The furious dog, the terrified man, the paralyzed woman clinging to her chair. "Help us," she cried, her voice cracking. The hikers acted quickly, pulling the son away as the shepherd growled in warning. One of them dialed the police, describing every detail. The son's protests grew weaker, his lies falling flat in the face of witnesses. For once, the mask of wealth and charm was gone. Exposed and disgraced, the truth of his betrayal was laid bare for the world to see. The police arrived swiftly, handcuffing the son as he hung his head in shame. His protests were drowned by the crash of waves and the shepherd's unyielding growl. For the first time, the man who thought himself untouchable stood powerless. The old woman wept silently, her trembling hand reaching toward her loyal dog. The shepherd trotted to her side, pressing his head against her lap. She stroked his fur with tears streaming down her face. "You saved me," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You're the child I can trust." The officers assured her she was safe, while witnesses shook their heads in disbelief at the cruelty they had just seen, and the loyalty that had triumphed over it. The son was taken away. The woman closed her eyes, clutching her dog tightly. Her heart was broken by betrayal, yet mended by the devotion of the one who never left her side.